All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time today. We're going to cover the Keep It Simple desktop version. All questions, if you can hold them to the end, and if you want to type them in the chat, we will go ahead and answer those at the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to kind of touch the bases of a return in the program itself. So I know everybody's already set up their program, but if there's anything that you have questions on even after this, if we don't answer in specific, please feel free to give us a shout at the 283-9300 number and option 2 for support. So we'll go ahead and start at the setup. We're going to open up our program, and I just want to touch on everything at the top here that we can use. We're going to go ahead and start off here, our preparers, and I just have some initial information all set up here. This is our admin. Everything is checked. And of course, our tester, we'll just do update here. And when we click on tester, you can see that this preparer in particular only has a certain amount of privileges. So each one of these will give them the privilege of that actual checkmark box, e-file, schedulers, letters, all that stuff in here. If you want to change the password, it's located here. And we'll always update just to be sure that all the information's been sent to the filing center so it coincides with your online version as well. Of course, our firm information is located here in the next tab. And then I'm going to touch on pricing because I know everybody's biggest question, of course, is going to be the invoicing to make sure that you have all your stuff filled out. So pricing is going to places that you want to come to first. And there's 3 different ways of setting up your pricing. We have it manually for each return, prompt you at the end of that return for whatever pricing you want to particularly set for that person. The next one we have is fixed rate for all returns. So if you want to charge a flat $200, $300, you can simply click on that and mark that in there. Of course, we have our typical billing setup where you can price it by form, item, and property. So here's our main forms, our worksheet themselves, any schedules, and all the other information here is forms starting with anything with 3, 5, and so forth. You can also do a show all where it just gives you every form and everything you can charge for. Once you make your changes for both your federal and your state, click the update button here at the bottom. All of our business forms are here on the left-hand side. And then our discounts finally. And the discounts you can go ahead and add if you guys have a flyer, referral services, you can all add them in here. And then inside the invoicing, of course, apply those to the particular return. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do it. Refer a friend, let's just say $50. So we'll go ahead and just update to make sure it spreads across. And then finally I'm going to touch on settings here. So inside settings, I'm going to go to configuration and show you. I had this question this week about the invoicing. They wanted to exclude the per form fee on the invoice, but they still wanted it detailed. So you can go ahead and select these all if you want, that in particular for the invoice, and then you can also move them to all your other users. So you don't have to do it one by one. You can just push it to everyone. And you'll notice here's that as well. So again, I'm just going to touch on the prepare account summary and all the return entry mode and panel stuff we have here. You can open it up in your mode. If you do not want to show the refund meter, instructions, and preview returns, you can uncheck and check that here, as well as the form tree. And the defaults, if you don't want them in there, just come in here and uncheck them, or you can remove the return itself. Units all return values. Third-party designee, it'll default as the prepare if you want here. You can round every money filled to the nearest dollar. And then all of our print options are located here as well. If you want to default all the returns to a 1040, you can do that there. And if you want to print the name under a signature. All these options are just, depending on what you want to set up in your office. Under marketing, this is where you can also place excuse me, some more information. If you have particular marketing, you can actually add the subject and description and get some reports out of this later at the end of the year. We also have a coupon that you can go in here and add. If you do, like I did, referral service, you can give this out to your clients as well for next year. When they come in, they can use that. Any user-defined descriptions. If you have something particular that you want to prepare to review, or if you need to prepare to call certain people for certain things, you can create a description with them and then have them run that actual search and find what it is they need to do. Under the scheduler, you'll notice that we can go ahead and it's a way to more efficiently use your time in your office with your employees as the preparers, any of their work hours, and the schedulers will go ahead and work together to better equate time to your employees so that you know, hey, I have 5 appointments today for this particular preparer. These are the information that I need them to get. Hold on one sec for me here. Okay. Also inside settings, we have our letterhead, any standard letters that you either want to customize or add to, you can here. And inside the watermark settings, I like this particularly because you can come in here and do the customer copy. You can preview, do not file. And now you notice here's our watermark. And that's just a customer copy. If you want to do it on filers or preparer's copy, you can toss that in there. And you'll actually notice that it comes up. Oops. That actually comes up with that do not file listed on there. So your customers don't actually mail that in. And that concludes, oh, I'm sorry, one more. Under the change themes, if the green color is not your particular favorite, you can come in here, apply and save, and it just kind of changes the look and feel. I'll go back to the default for today. Of course, all of our dynamic databases are included here for you to edit. You'll notice in here we have our EIN database, excuse me, that you can edit and change if something's different. You can bring these in at the beginning of the year or have a look at them at the end. Of course, here's our zip code database. Anybody who's a W-7 agent who has your pizza and all your good stuff would be located so it can not all any for you. I'll quickly touch on the backup. The backup information, because you can actually run this if you have a multi-site type setup, you can actually run the backup. Oh, here we go. And I just need to complete a task and add a task in here. You would choose which destination path, whether this is an internal or external backup, and then you can actually make a full backup or just modify anything. So after you make your first one, any returns that get changed or edited will be modified in the next backup after that. You can actually say how many full backups that you want. It goes up to 15. And then, of course, our task manager. And by clicking add, we'll just do yeah there. When we click on add, now you see that our scheduler, we can set it for daily or weekly. And also here's the task name and any of the start time. So let's say that you come in 9 o'clock at your office in the morning. If you leave your computer on, I would set it for 7, 8 a.m. If you don't leave till late in the evening and you still leave it on, you choose to do it then, you can just set it for maybe 30 minutes to an hour after you leave. The invoice information, go ahead and do this for you guys. Let's do one here, and this is just the main office. This checkmark box, check here if you like to treat all bank payment as invoice until it's fully paid. It'll still show as an invoice until you actually get the funding from the IRS and the bank, and then it'll actually push down for you to show that everything is paid in full. Any of the fee disclosures, you can also show a detailed list for that in the bank products. I'll go ahead and do update on this. And that's all. Under miscellaneous settings, email configuration and view print configuration. Those two, if you want to change anything in particular for these, go ahead and mark them in there. They're all pretty standard. Anything that's signature forms, of course, has to be signed. If you do have a signature pad, please get with support. If you don't already have it installed and it's not working or anything like that, please get with them so they can get you set up. So we'll go ahead and just quickly touch on the business. The next tab here at the top, here's all your business forms, how to e-file them, all the tools, business client organizer, calculator, everything is located here for you. We'll go ahead and move on to the individual. Now the first screen that opens up, of course, is going to be your office manager. And this is all your today's information. And the most important part, of course, in our message board is that the filing center is updated and open is ready to take your info. Of course, they'll be sent off on the 20th, all to the IRS, anything that's waiting in there. But you have the chance of getting some acknowledgments ahead of time because we'll be doing some testing with the IRS as well. So every bits and pieces will be sent off, and you may start to get some acknowledgments and stuff ahead of time. As I mentioned earlier, when you complete your work hours and set up all your preparers information, you'll see all the today's appointments with whoever logs in, whether it be yourself or your preparers. On the bottom left, you'll see unpaid invoices. This will grow throughout the year if somebody has, of course, some outstanding money for you. And on the right-hand side, you'll see our check detail. So this will start to fill up as you get your checks, and you're ready to print those as well. You notice at our bottom we have our pretty much our counts. On the right-hand side is our year-to-date, which everything for the office. You'll see we have 4 created returns, and of course they're incomplete. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see everything. Just a daily count. Hey, I got admitted 4 of them. I got 1 rejected. So you'll see this grow throughout the year as well. At the top, we'll click on Client Manager, and we have a list of different. We have, of course, to create a new return. And it's the return we do have. And then we have some lists below these. Here's our paper filed list, amended list of accepted clients, amended list of new clients, any of the unpaid invoices, a complete list, an incomplete list, a paid client list, and attach a return and detach a return if you just need those, and a remote location if you have one. We'll scroll over to the next tab, which is e-file. We have our ready to transmit and extension links here. You can also get any of your e-file statuses located here. Of course, I don't have any returns in here, but you would see them, select them if you want, and then get current status of the returns. In this, we also have a couple of things on the left-hand side. Queued returns to show you which ones are actually queued and ready to go, which ones have been transmitted, rejected, and declined. Any unfinished returns, here's our unfinished one. And federal, they're ready to be sent, but they haven't been filed. We also have advanced get e-file status. If there's anything in particular you need to see some really particular information, you can do the advanced one here. Any of the extension statuses, when you send those off, you can come back and check those here. It'll pull that information from the filing center. Disbursement details, if there's any returns that haven't seen a disbursement, you can go and pull that info to see why or why not. Any check details as well, located in here. And then for a couple of you folks who have multiple preparers in your office, under e-file there's a completed, paid, and not e-filed list. So if you want your preparers to go in and mark those returns as complete but not ready for review so that you can look at them and send them off, you can come in here and actually see which ones are ready to go. That's it for the e-file. Over here in the scheduler, this is just your typical appointment maker. Everything in here is pretty awesome. If you come into the details list, you can actually set everything, and you can make the appointment, show all your appointments. Everything is located here for you. Excuse me. Under the schedule, you'll notice we have an existing client. One as well, and it shows for them in email, all that. And here's your report as well. So if you need to run a report to see, hey, how many appointments did I have on these days, you can actually do that there. Under letters, of course, here's our client organizer, print letters and mailing labels. If you want to use those, you can. If you need, just give us a call at support. And then one important part, of course, is going to be the bank enrollment. Now, whether you're in the desktop version or you're in the online version, you can always come up to the bank enrollment itself. Now, I don't have a bank enrollment, but once you click on it, it'll actually give you a check status. And if you click on that, it'll pull down the information if you don't have your invoicing ready on this. So if anybody has any questions like that, please feel free to get with us after the webinar, and we'll go over that with you on your computer. Of course, bank products, direct deposit, cash cards, and audit protection is here. I'll go ahead and click on that. You'll actually mark in your upcharge for audit protection in here as well. Now, since I don't have a bank, it won't let me do that. Check printing is located here next to the bank. Our reports, well, actually, these are our printable reports. You can come back in, see all the information. It actually pulls, as you noticed, all the info from the filing center. So when we run our reports, you're getting the most updated information on what's going on with the return, the disbursement, all that information is going to be there. And of course, as you notice, no enrollment with the bank here. Any forms that you need to look at, you can always click here. This once again takes you to this spot right here. Under our tools, I'm going to go over this real fast. The first thing I like to bring up is a quick estimator. If we go into the quick estimator, you can actually see I already have one here. This is what our gross is, any withholdings. All this info here is added up based upon the year, all this info here. All the withholdings for any of these are located here. Once you do calculate, it'll actually show you, based upon the info at the top, what their preview might be or what they might get. Now, I know for this person in particular, on any single or head of household, they should have EIC. Once you do the return and you start the new return or you complete the return, the EIC will be in there. Based upon the information here at the top, the program doesn't necessarily know if these two qualify for EIC. So it'll always mark it 0. So if a customer asks you, hey, I think I'm supposed to get $5,000 for EIC and my refund's supposed to be $7,500, it's more than likely going to be around there. But just let them know that you want to complete the return and see what you can get them. I'm going to go ahead and save this and close this out. Back under our tools, of course, we have a bank product quick estimator. And it shows, of course, I'm not registered with the bank, but you would be able to quickly just give them an estimate of what they may be charged as a bank product. Of course, we have our married filing joint and separate comparison chart, our document manager and download font location, as well as a converter, a calculator, a way to integrate with the website. Real quick, if you have completed information on your online version and it hasn't pulled down to your desktop version, you can do that here. Simply, receive from STS Online, mark that, and it'll actually pull all the information that you created online, whether it be your preparers and all that, down to this program for you. And if you need any help with that, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to give you a hand. Depreciation summary is located here, batch printing, and then, of course, the signature pad. Now, I don't have one installed right now, but if you have received your signature pad and you need some help with it, let us know. If not, here's where you come to mark the signature pad that you have, who's going to be signing, and then you can do your preparers down here at the bottom and your firm. Again, any questions, feel free to let us know. The support just has our manual and links. Any information that you need is going to be located there. I'm going to go ahead and dive into a new return. On the right-hand side, when we click on New Return, you'll notice you can apply for a W-7. Once you check that, you hit Create New Return. It'll keep it in order for you with all 9s. You can also mark if you want to do a self-employment tax, an amendment, or a non-resident here. If you want to change your certain person, you can do that down here at the bottom. Create New Return. Excuse me. So the first thing that you notice when the program return comes up is our layout. And this is the Forms direct menu. We also have an interview method that we can cover one-on-one. If anybody has any questions about that, we'll go over that as well. Excuse me. So I'm going to start in a clock fashion. I'm going to start from the top here. We're going to go and I'm going to explain these top choices real fast for you. From right to left, we'll go the year-over-year comparison, any marketing, the backup, if you want to do a single backup of the return, and then one of my favorite parts is the library. Inside the library, we have all of any and then any sections themselves. So you'll notice if we close this out and go by section, all the forms that are listed in our tree under income, adjustments, deductions, these are having to do with that particular section of the 1040 return. Inside of our library, it matches the same way. So here's our adjustment section, and it describes all the stuff for those particular forms that are located here on our left. I'll go ahead and close this out. If you have any more questions about it, please let me know. The next part is the DM docs. This is document management, the docs here. It shows you what socials here at the top, and they associate with each individual year and each individual client. I'll go ahead and hit Add. For anyone that received a scanner, you'll mark the HD camera and hit Scan. Now, I don't have one installed right now, but what we'll pick up is my laptop. Here we go. Hey, everybody. We'll pick up my laptop. There we go. My laptop webcam that's there. You can also use that for anybody who's traveling or anything like that. And if not, you can always browse your computer if you have a different scanner and bring those in. You can save that. We'll just name this a Texas driver's license. We'll just have that in here. You'll notice the identification, income, or other type of document section. And I'm just going to do save. Once you filled out the information, this first name, last name will populate in as well. After that, we have our married filing separate and joint comparison. Any of the overrides. The credits I like. When you click on this, it'll actually show why your customer did not get a certain credit. This will fill throughout the return. Assets, signature pad, any of the rejects for the return. The query to change, the query is to look up any other return that you're in. if you want to change the prepare, if you want to do a client payment, or if you want to complete the return. That's all of our ribbon here at the top. Around the return, besides the actual form itself, we have these what are called panels. If you choose this Manage Panel selection, you'll notice that we have the 5. Here's our instructions, our return preview, and this will actually auto-determine what kind of form it is, 1040A, 1040EZ, and then you can actually click on it, and it's a PDF of that form itself. On the left-hand side, we have our refund meter. This changes as you save and go throughout the return. Of course, our form tree, and then right here, our locate form. I'm going to go ahead and just save this, leave them all there. I'm going to demonstrate our locate form in just a second. So I'm going to fill out this first page. When I start typing, you see that our dynamic database is already filled with tons of selections. I'll go ahead and click this one, and as you save them, they're going to fill out on other returns as well. They'll save them there as you go along. Identity protection pin is located here. Of course, customers will be receiving these more and more throughout the next upcoming years. Any other information, if they're disabled, blind, all that information's here. If they're qualifying of another child on an EIC, you locate that here. Then we also will see the Affordable Care Act questions. Did the primary taxpayer have minimum essential coverage for all 12 months? Just for this purpose, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say no here, that they didn't get it through the marketplace. The status. You'll notice as I click through, this changes as well. Just wanted to show you that. And also, if I do married filing joint, now spouse's information pops up. If I do head of household, it gives me the questions. Just for this purpose, I'm going to do single. It's going to skip down to the zip code, and it'll autofill what we have there. If you're doing a bank product, the bank will need a separate number here. Notices all the information here. Bank information, if you are going to do a bank product, or if they're going to get their money deposited into a bank account, it'll be located here. I'm going to go ahead and do save. You'll notice, excuse me, you'll notice on the left-hand side that our deduction has already come up, our refund meter has already started to act. Since all of our information's there, I'm going to go ahead and, let's say they just, college kid coming in with the W-2. If I type in W, you'll notice the most common thing, of course, is going to be the W-2, and any other forms that had W associated with it will start to fill out. If you have somebody come in with the 1099, 1099, you can actually click that and it'll start to come in there. For this purpose, I'll just do a W-2. Now click on this. In this program, everything is, all of our submitted forms, all of our forms that are supported are here on the left-hand side. They're filled out by and by filed forms. Located here, and it's going to show you what you've already started to fill out in your filed forms. So I'll just add that W-2. And the program is summary based, so you'll see not only that the W-2 starts to add up and gives you your totals on the section itself, but it will show you what it's reportable to as well. I'll go ahead and hit add. This W-2, if it had a spouse, it would be marked right below here. Go ahead and just put in our fake one there. Wages and compensation, we'll just do 30,000, 30,000. I'll drop to the bottom and immediately hit save. if we had some state information, it would actually populate our state here for us afterwards. So it's, we're going to go ahead and mark a dependent in here real quick to just show you guys. We'll do add. And Jimmy's our son. Oops. If he's applying for a W-7, the located information will be here. And you'll notice all the information that usually will be filled out will already have our check mark boxes. It has him credited for everything already. If he's a full-time student, all that information will be located. You can check that here or make any kind of changes here. What I also like is in here, the 2441 can be linked straight. So you can fill out your information on there as well to already start the child care info located here. If they had a 1098T, you got your information there. Student info will actually guide you and help you on that one as well, this link right here. Now what comes down is going to be the EIC info as well as the ACA for this child. So we're just going to go mark yes. We'll mark no here. And we'll do no that they didn't have to file their own tax return. And we'll do save. You'll notice on our left-hand side, as the refund meter, you'll see our refund go from $400 to $2,000. Now, if I click back at the top on our credits, you can actually see why now they didn't get each of these credits. So if you had a customer say, well, I got a better refund last year, you can actually come in here and analyze and see why they may have had a credit last year that they didn't this year, or vice versa. I'll go ahead and close this out, and you can print this for them as well. So let's say this return's pretty much done. We're ready to go. We got our dependent info. We got our W-2 info. Everything is there. You'll notice on the right-hand side that the 1040 is 1040A. It's been auto-selected. And if we actually click on it, it's going to bring up our PDF of the return itself. So if you want to print this out for them, have them have it, you can do it all from this screen here. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take you guys through the complete section here. So we're going to go complete. Say we're done with the return. We're ready to go ahead and send it up. We're going to complete the actual 1040 tax return now. It goes through all the checks. It goes through the return basically with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that the IRS has all the information they need. Now, of course, we have some other stuff we need to fix. Now, let's say you're more a person who works off the 1040. I want to show that real quick before we close out of this return. If you go into page 1 on the 1040 itself, you'll notice that it drops down in the same style that the 1040 is worked on itself. Here's page 1, of course, and here's page 2. One wonderful part that I love about this program is that on this physical form itself, you can actually see what, in blue, forms are related to that particular line. So for line 7, you see all of this information can be reported back to that line. All these can be reported back to that line. Each one of these will go through for you and show all the related forms that will come back to that particular line. Now, especially on the 1099, I want to show that real quick because I've had a couple questions about that one in particular. So if we go in our 1099, and I'll just do miscellaneous. And then when I add it, Excuse me. I'm actually in a W2G. Let me go ahead and get rid of that one. Get that here. Yep, 1099 miscellaneous. I'm going to click Add. Then I just want to put some info here and show you. If we go down to non-compensation employee, I'm just going to do 5,000. All the information that's here at the bottom, once we come off, you'll notice that it'll now ask where we want to report line 7 to. So we can actually report that to anything that's in here. You've already created your schedules. You can actually tie it to a schedule there. All the rents and everything like that, all of this info, you can actually tie it. Box 1 here, I'll actually put in. Now you notice box 1, we can tie it to a schedule if we have it. All that information can be tied here. I'll go ahead and delete this out. And I'm going to go ahead and run the complete one more time so we can go ahead and just finish up the return so we can get to the most important part, which is, of course, going to be your money. So as it gathers all the details, all the information from the 1040 to go ahead and make this a e-fileable return, now you notice that we have our any messages that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to fix. It's going to take us to the 8879. You can auto-generate your PIN. If you're going to paper file, this is going to be marked here at the bottom. Now we've pretty much finished. We'll go ahead and go back to complete. Oh, and now actually we have the EIC stuff. I apologize, I didn't answer those questions before. I will do yes. All right, we'll go complete one more time. And just remember to always save at the end of each one of those forms, just so the refund meter goes back through and you should be good to go. What will come is the verify and file my return. What's going to come up here for anybody who has multiple preparers in their office and they just want them to complete the return, they would mark this box yes. They would leave the reviewed as no. And then how's this return going to file? We'll do it electronically. For all intents and purposes, I'll just do yes here at the top for the complete and the reviewed. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And what will actually happen is it's going to go ahead and close out of our return. It's going to get it all prepped up and ready for us to send over to the IRS now. It'll go ahead and close out and take us back into the management, the client manager for that particular return. We'll go over this screen now. Okay, so this screen, starting from bottom to top, I want to show you, you have your the time spent on that particular return, your return history located here. So from when it's created all the way up to when it's marked as completed, you'll have a time frame history of that. All of our payment details and e-file section is located here at the bottom left, and we'll touch on that in just a little bit as we get ready to send this off. In the middle, we have our filing summary. It shows you the federal, if there's an extension, its filing status, and it shows, of course, not filed. The submission ID, which is pretty important if the IRS questions, you can always give them the submission ID that's located here. Here's what type of filed form it was, the refund, and then a quick link to where's my refund. And I like this so much because all the information that you need on this to get the actual query is going to be located here at the top. We have our filing status. On the left-hand side, we have our Social Security number, how they filed, and of course the refund amount, so that you can go ahead and type that in there. And it should come up in just a second. I'll go ahead and close that out for now. IRS's Where's My Refund website will come up with this one, but it just seems to be, they may be updating it right now actually, since they're starting to test. Located on the right-hand side of this top screen, it's going to show you who actually prepared the return. It's going to show you all the income information. This is basically a small little thing of the refund meter, and any view forms, anything that they did, you'll see them listed here. You can mark it incomplete or complete here, for electronic or paper file here, and all the personal information just located right here in the middle section. I'll start up at the top. We can detach the return. We can back it up if we had an appointment or any notes for this one in particular. The print label and letters for this client, and then the DM docs. So it's not only located inside the return, it's outside the return as well. So you can come in here and add whatever doc you need to. Password protect. This is for, I usually say, high-profile customers or your own personal return. If you don't want any employees looking at your return or anyone who can access the program looking at any particular return, you would mark that particular return with the password protection. You don't have to enter the password, but anybody else who isn't you does. If you want to view the input, that's the next button here. This basically just gives you a quick little see of what the return was. You know, what we claimed for the W-2, what was on the 8879, the 8877, all the information is located there just for you to quickly look at and see. You can sift all through the filed forms and see what was actually inputted on that return. If you want to delete the returns, located here, the coupon, and then the view print. This view print is really awesome. I'm going to go over this with you guys because I know I'll get some calls about this and I want to be sure that everybody has it. So there's two different functions. There's the preview view, which shows you all the 1040, Schedule C, 8867, all the actual PDF that you can then double-click and see for yourself what they look like. Okay. Now, if you rather just print them out individually, you can do that like this, or you can go to the back, which was the printable view, and there's three separate copies. Here's your prepare copy, your customer, and your filing. So if you just want to do a customer, add your watermark that we set earlier. You can actually see, and you'll see that highlighted once you select them. So now you'll notice all my information's here, the whole return. Excuse me. All the information's here. Here's your do not file watermark as well. So if we didn't want to have the watermark, or if we didn't want to have certain forms, we can just go in and check them. So now when we click on it, we should only have the 1040 with no watermark. Oops, excuse me, so that. If you want, and you'll notice right here in our DM docs, I'm going to go ahead and do a select all for our customer copy, add a watermark and the signature forms, and I'm going to do export to document manager. And what this will actually do is export into our DM docs. So once you're finished with the whole return, you're sure everything is done, come in here to view print. You'll export your document manager, customer copy, prepare copy, whichever one you want to do. And you'll actually notice in your DM docs, here it is now. So you never have to print this out and file it in your filing cabinet. If you have a signature pad and they've signed, you can actually, everything will be saved within the return. It's pretty much paperless. We're trying to help our customers become just that, paperless, and they don't have to do anything else after that. Of course, to the left of view and print is, of course, going to be our edit. If you want to go back into the return, you can do the direct input, or you can go into the interview method and edit that return, change it, and then recomplete it so we can send it off to the IRS. And the most important part, how to send off our tax return. So down here at the bottom left is our payment details. So once you've completed the physical 1040 tax return and everything's done, I'm going to go ahead and just close this out, and everything's done on the 1040, you're going to actually run the invoice. So the way the steps flow, real quick, is you, 1, create the return, 2, complete the return, and then 3, how are they going to pay? So down here left, now you notice under payment details and invoicing, our client payment is ready to go. Now you see under e-file, ready to e-file is not good because we haven't actually got paid for it. So I'm going to click on client payment, and this is our invoice screen. So I'm going to do add a new invoice. Since there's nothing up here at the top, we haven't done one. You'll notice we did our price per form. I'll click on this, and you'll see that it says click for details, and this just shows us the breakdown of each individual one. This is the breakdown of our total charges. If you want to modify, to the right, here's modify, and let's say they did bring in a friend. We'll check that, save and close, and now you notice our 270 down of our discount. It has a your balance amount as well. Of course, it's 0 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit calculate. Now you notice everything else is there for us to go ahead and send off this return. You'll notice here is our federal charges, prior year balance, state charges, and in the bottom net prep fees are going to be paid $220. Here we go right here. Now for anybody who's doing a bank return, there's 2 different spots, non-banking and banking. The banking tab will actually say Refund Advantage, or it'll say Santa Barbara, whichever bank that you're working with. Of course, I do not have a bank located in my program since this is a test program, but basically everything's the same. The only other difference is you've got to make sure inside of the 1040 that you do a secondary phone number. Otherwise, it'll ask you once you go past the screen. So I'm going to finish return. Just you'll choose the bank selection right here. If it's a cash, check, or card, and then how the disbursement, and then on the next screen it'll ask you to fill out some more information like their license or anything like that. All that information can then be put to the filing center right after. So it's pretty much just one screen after this, but I'll go through the screen with you guys. So let's say that they paid us cash $220. We'll do to make the payment now, and do we want to e-file this return? I'm going to mark yes. I'm going to do update payment. And of course it's going to ask me, you've elected non-banking payment option. Do you want to mark this invoice as completed? I'm going to say yes since they gave me cash. This is a complete invoice. It goes ahead and wraps up the return, makes sure that it's all inside of its package, and now you can either transmit now. Any states that'll be selected are here. You can either transmit now or you can add it to the queue later. I'm going to click on Add to Queue. It's going to create the file and get it ready for you to send off. You'll notice all of our balance due comes to 0. They've paid us. Everything's great. I'll go ahead and close this. And it's going to ask me for the first time, this return has been transmitted. Transmitted, added to the queue successfully. what do you want to do? Do you want to go back to Manage My Returns, the Office Manager, or stay on this one? I'm going to go back to the Office Manager. I'm sorry, the Manage My Returns, save and close. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We have queued our first return. If you go into e-file and ready to transmit, here's that return. This will only be in here if you didn't click on Transmit Now. If you click on Transmit Now, it sends it off right then and there, and it's gone. If you clicked on the queue, it'll be here. If you're particular and you just want to send them all at once, one time a day, it'll be located in here for you. And I'll go back into Client Manager and touch on one more thing. So inside of Manage My Returns, if you ever have somebody who's looking over your shoulder, a client or anything like that, and the SSNs are appearing, you can always click on Hide This Client List, and it'll disappear them real quick for you. Just another little tidbit to show. And that's it for our presentation of the desktop software. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and open up the floor to questions. So anybody can ask their questions. I'm going to come here on the message board and maintain and watch that. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them now. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask or anything that they want to look at right now?
Yes, this is Rosemary. Can you hear me?
Hey, Miss Rosemary. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You know me. I have a bunch of questions. The first one is regarding the insurance, the Affordable Care. Do we have to receive any proof from them, or do we have to give them any papers regarding that?
Okay, well, great question. So the first thing, and I'm going to put everybody back on mute real quick. Okay, and you guys can hear me. That's a great question. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Manage My Returns back again. I'm going to just any one of these returns. Now you'll notice that on, maybe I did this one, yeah. You'll notice on this return, we're going to go back into it, and you're going to see the actual forms themselves and what they printed out on this one. So inside of our, we'll do customer copy. Oh, actually, in our customer copy, you'll notice on the 1040 and on, oops, let me go back here. On 1040, it's going to pop up on line 61. Oh, excuse me. Let me get down here. Oh, this is the A, so it's, which line is it on the A? Oh my goodness, I forget which line it is on the A. Well, anyways, it'll show the deductions for the health credit there. Now, if anyone, and hold on, let me open up a new return because the edits. Anyone who basically answers the questions, it auto-determines. So I'm going to go back in here, Mr. James Jones. Okay, so the simplicity is that if they did they have the coverage, I'll mark yes. And if they purchased it through the marketplace, I'll mark yes. I'm going to go save, and it tells you the information whenever you edit it or anything that something's going to go different, if you will. So the customers will have a number of things. The program will auto-determine based upon the threshold if they qualify for the exemption. So if we go into our filed forms, oops, no, not file forms, I'm sorry. Minimize this. I'll do no back on this one. And then here's the links to the exemptions. So here's the 8962 if they receive the credit, and then the healthcare exemption. So this shows right now, it makes the auto determination that you're not eligible to file this form because you have indicated everyone in your household had minimum coverage. So if we go back, oops, let me go back here. And inside of our personal, if we do no, we only did it for the last 3 months. We do save. So based upon the questions there, the program will auto-determine what it is that you need to fill out for that person in particular. They're either going to have a certificate from the marketplace. And let's go back here. The shared responsibility worksheet. So this will show that James Jones only had 3. The son and the daughter, they had, because we marked them, they had what they needed to. And so when we complete this return, it'll actually populate all the other information that we need based upon the information that was filled out. So if his bracket is so high, it won't. If his bracket is lower than the amount that the government has issued, it'll autofill for you. If not, all the information will populate out for him itself. Let me go back and unmute everybody here. Ms. Rosemary, did that answer your question, Ms. Rosemary? I'm so sorry.
Thank you. You're good. I have another question. On the head of household.
And real quick, you'll see here on the when we do complete, and it'll say whether they received a 1095A, and then what their penalty is. So if we go to click here to fix, it'll actually take us to that physical form itself and tell us the exact reason why, the 8965. So you'll notice on part 2, it has your household income is not below the threshold. See, so ours was 19, but the threshold for them is 10,150.
It was 10. Yeah.
And so they are being fined if they.
Right. Exactly. Yes, ma'am. They will be fined just based upon the questions. So, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's in your best interest to go ahead and dig and ask. But you can't necessarily make people tell the truth. So they just have to understand if they mess up this year and they don't tell the truth, they may be penalized next year as well, because the government going back and looking at that stuff. So it's a very gray area right now. So I mean, just of course, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call and we'll go. Just make sure, hey, if you have an exemption certificate, they show that to you so that you can place that in here.
Now, on the head of household, when we mark head of household, do we have to answer the questions right beneath it?
No, not the ones right below it. As long as you have a dependent in your head of household, I mean, those questions are only applicable to anybody who it pertains to, if you will.
Okay. And so right underneath that on the bank information, if they are getting a direct deposit from Santa Barbara Bank, we have to fill out that information for them?
Right, you can fill it out there, and it'll pass through to the other portion when you actually do the invoice for the banking, or you can put it in there. It's wherever you want to put it. No. I guess we won't stop you from putting it in one spot and another, so it'll be wherever you're available to.
Okay. And on the 8879, when we are auto-generating the PIN for the client, do we have to X out the one, the little block underneath where it says entered by ERO?
Yeah, you can if you like. It's just a reporting function.
Okay, that's all the questions I've got right now.
Okay. Thank you so much for your questions. Is there anybody else right now who wants to ask a question or wants to go over or look at something?
Yes, this is Irma de la Cruz.
Hey, Ms. Isma.
And my question is, like when you have clients that are coming again for this year, how do you start the income tax information? Does it pass it on?
Right. If you've gotten with support and support's done the conversion, I know we had some conversions that still were outstanding that had large client bases. But if you have any questions on that, it'll generate from last year, correct? Once the support team has done your conversion for you.
Where would you go to select a prior client?
Well, when you create a new year client, it'll ask you if you want to use the information from last year.
Oh, okay.
If it doesn't, or if you have any, yes. Well, I don't have any on mine, but if it doesn't, just be sure whenever we hang up to give a call to support to ask, and then they can walk you through that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
And
for your
another
question.
Do you know how people can get the certificate from the marketplace?
Well, yes. I want to say there's one of two ways, and I've seen it on different spots. I've seen, of course, they get a physical mailing sent to them, and I've seen some online stuff where they can go in and see the certificate itself. The easiest way is to have them call and make sure from the actual insurance company or the marketplace number that's on there that they get that sent to them. That is pretty important. And real quick, if you look, I'm going to click on Add, and there is a section for pending, as if they haven't received the actual certificate letter. Right here it says pending, but I would use that with care, and just to be sure and let your client know, hey, if I mark it pending, be sure when you do get it that you send that to me so that they don't get penalized.
Okay. If a client, if you ask those questions for the insurance and they lie about it, will we be penalized if they lie?
No, ma'am, no. And you know, I always say to my clients, cover yourself and make sure that you have all the documentation. And even if you want to print something out that says everything about the ACA that I gave to my tax preparer was truthful, I'd maybe, you know, print that out and have them sign it, keep it in their file or something. But I mean, I'm sure that they'll get, if they lie this year, I'm sure next year that there'll be some sort of penalization. I couldn't say what in certain, but no, you aren't necessarily held accountable, but you want to just always, of course, cover yourself and make sure you have all your ducks in a row.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you for your question. Anybody else had something that they want to look at? Now, we are going to be looking at the online program at 3 o'clock. If anybody uses the online version as well, you can certainly join our webinar at 3 o'clock today.
Okay.
Can you go over adding audit protection to a return?
Oh, the audit protection? Yes. So when you're inside of the return and you're finishing up the return, what's going to happen is when you do the invoice and you do the banking section, Mr. Hewitt, at the bottom, it'll be located there. So if I was to click on client payment and go through that, when we do the banking functions, the actual audit protection will be located in there for you to select that as well.
So how do you add the audit protection if they don't do a bank product?
It is not available to a non-bank product customer within this program. You can always send the stuff over directly to Protection Plus, but that's another little, I guess it's another little step that I can go over with you, Mr. Hewitt, once we get done. Is there any other questions, or would anybody like to look at anything else throughout the program, or any other questions I can answer for you?
Hear me? John?
Well, I will go ahead and end the presentation right now. If anybody has any questions, Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
It's Yadira. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When it's a bank product, and we're going to print checks, we have to print them out of another application, or it's off the...
What bank are you working with this year?
It's STPG, or was it Santa Barbara?
Yes, ma'am. Santa Barbara will be printed directly inside of the return itself, because if you notice my office manager here, it shows TPG, and so when your checks come in, you'll start to see them grow in here.
And would I have to print out of the desktop or out of the online version, or it doesn't matter?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, I would definitely, if you print out of one, I would continuously print out of that one.
Okay,
you know, if you start to print out of the desktop, I would print out of the desktop, or if you start to print out of the online. I mean, it's really up to you, but I personally, I stay with consistency. So if you start to print them from your office, you know, you can go ahead and do that as well.
I have another question.
Yes.
I haven't been able to download them to one of my computers, the desktop version. So I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it's my computer that needs an update or something, but worst case scenario, if I don't have it on that computer, everything that I do online, I can merge into the other desktop, right? The way you showed us?
Exactly. Exactly. Now, I would definitely, if you want, give a call and support to see why that's for you within your network instead of using the online as well. And in the definition, we'll go through that to make it for you.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Anybody want to look at anything in particular?
Yes, Nicholas, this is Irma. What is the difference between the desktop and the internet? I don't quite understand.
It just is that. That is the only difference, really, is that the program that you're looking at right now is the desktop version, and the other one is just an online version. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to bring that up for you. And it nearly looks the same.
Okay.
We should get to see what we have online and what we have on the desktop.
No, sí. Oye, ¿qué voy a
Say
poner?
it one more time.
We should be able to see what is on the desktop and what is on online.
So the way those the way those two work. The way those two work is the desktop version and the online version are they're separate, but they work together, if you will. So anytime that you e-file a return, send a return up to the filing center, it's always going to be in your online version. Okay? Anytime that you open a return in the online version itself, you're going to have to send it down to the other version. It's a little bit tedious if you have to pull that stuff down all the time. So that's why I usually tell my clients, if you're going to use one, use one. If you're going to use the other, use the other. Use them together. I'll go through and demonstrations on that. You'll notice that here, this is the online version, and here's the desktop. Here's all of our stuff at the top. Almost just the same stuff, okay? The only difference is, of course, the business is not in the desktop, your desktop.
Would you say that it's once you have the desktop, it would be better just to work out of that and that's it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Whichever one you want to use, we'll be more than happy to help set up like that.
Well, I have the desktop.
Yeah, and I mean, I would use the desktop. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I just usually recommend the web version if we have customers who travel a lot, or who have one preparer who's working outside of the office or something like that.
Okay.
Is there any other questions? Anything anybody wants to look at? Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end our session here. If anybody has any questions or anything else like that, or if we need to look at something else, please feel free to give us a call here at 281-300, and option 2 is our support desk. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. Y'all have a wonderful day and have a great season.
Thank you very much.